Hello. Hey, welcome to this recording. We have great news in 2025 here. NDS North America is welcoming Jacob Copelin to the team, and we would like to introduce him in this short little interview process. And so Jacob has agreed. In 2025, he is actually going to start with helping doing the teaching and the training and the support day to day with NDS North America. So welcome, Jacob. How are you doing this today?
All right, thank you, David. Doing well.
Let me just ask you a couple questions so people can jump on this and listen to who you are and how you ended up here. So how did you end up in the dairy industry to begin with?
So it's kind of a funny story. I lived in Alaska for 12 years, and while I was there, I worked at kind of a fine dining restaurant, did some cooking, did some front of the house management, and I really, my passion started to get into food and where our food came from. And in Alaska, as you can imagine, there's not a lot of agriculture or dairies. So my goal was actually I left Alaska and I actually went to Ohio State University and got my degree in small ruminant production management. And the plan was to go back to Alaska and work with reindeer and muskox of all things.
Muskox. Okay.
However, I coming down to Ohio, there's a lot of small farms and I ended up just staying and I got my undergraduate in animal sciences, specifically in nutrition. And during that time, I learned how to make cheese and I just got more involved in dairy in general. Well, as I got into that, I started doing the cheese making and I ended up getting a couple goats actually that somebody gave me because I was like, well, I needed some milk. And that got me into the dairy goats. And I ended up doing I went from associates to undergrad, and then I stuck around and did my master's as well in dairy nutrition. So it's there I met. My PI was Dr. Chan Hee Lee, and I worked with Bill Weiss in his lab, and Chan Hee really got me into a lot of research. So he started me out with doing research in sheep. It was all nutrition. I did some research in beef. And I also did most of my research in dairy. By the time I graduated, he had me on 9 different publications. So he had kept me really busy, but I learned a tremendous amount, and I was really grateful for my time there. That was kind of the short story was, food got me into dairy and just my whole kind of trip through Ohio State. And I'm still here in Ohio now.
So just let me ask a question about some of your dairy research there when you were doing that. That also included one of our most current topics in dairy right now. Didn't that include some of that work you guys did there at Ohio State?
Yeah, so my master's thesis was on branch chain volatile fatty acids. We kind of commonly refer to them as isoacids. I worked with Dr. Firkins and Dr. Chan Hee on multiple projects regarding those, and it was kind of fun doing that because it was on milk fat depression, and I did a lot of rumen microbiology, so I kind of got to see the cow and the rumen and how these branch chains really affected things, and then come to find out working with the NDS and these new CNCPS is lo and behold the newest update to it has to do with these isoacids. So it's kind of fun, how this has progressed.
So those projects basically you're on those papers with Firkins discussing the response to those um, yeah, branch chain that you guys are working with then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. So how did you get exposed or why NDS?
So during I was in my actually doing my associates. I had an internship with Organic Valley, and here I'm in Worcester, Ohio. There's, I think, just in Ohio alone, Organic Valley had 200 farms, something like that, and maybe 150, 200, so a lot. So I did an internship with them for 2 summers, and the whole premise of the internship was just to go visit farms, um, and talk to these guys. So as I was talking to them, they introduced me to a guy named Glenn Carlisle, really great guy. He was a nutritionist for 35 years, and he kind of brought me under his wing, and we had a lot in common. And so I started working with him kind of part time, getting feeds done and looking at rations. Well, the program that he was using just crashed, and they weren't. I'm not even sure what program it was right now, but so he ended up getting NDS. Well, he changing the software, as probably a lot of people know, is kind of a hard topic, especially when I think he had 50, 60 farms in that program. So he ended up buying me a copy to help him get through things. So that was my first introduction to it. And then I ended up talking to you, David, about I actually have dairy goats at home now, and I started using the small ruminant module with my goats, and I really got interested in the model and the outputs and how that worked with things. So it's kind of a neat progression of school and then meeting other people, and I had used some other programs too, and NDS just kind of stuck.
I do remember that time, and taking a basic salt of the earth guy like Glenn and teaching him modeling. You were very instructive and helpful in that situation, but he became quite a good user of NDS thanks to some of your input and some of the long meetings we had. That was a fun transition. So you've done small ruminants. You haven't done any muskox. You haven't done any of those lately, have you?
I never did get back to those muskox, sadly.
Okay, well, that's still on the bucket list. But anyway, you're using the small ruminant module,
Yeah.
even at home and with some other herds. You're doing the beef diets, and you're still doing the dairy diets for some smaller herds and Ohio State. You're integrating NDS into Ohio State, or how's that working with those rations?
Yeah, so I've probably been using NDS for, it's probably going on 5 years, 5, 6 years now, and trying to incorporate it into different diets. And I have a handful of farms that I've worked with kind of outside of the university, and it's when I first got NDS, I actually loaded a lot of my old master's projects and these old diets, and that was one of the things, is if I would have known now, or known then what I know now, it opens up so many more questions. And NDS has been great with doing the diets for both research diets, and just for kind of conventional farms. So it's been a good resource for sure. And I've been loving teaching it to other people, because when you show them outputs and you show them what the program is actually showing you, you see the light bulbs go on and people really get it.
Well, it's truly been a blessing for us, the NDS group, to get you to join us. You were a user for 5 years. You understand, the small ruminant module. That'll be a plus for us, and your experience with the the branch chain amino acids in that. So just out of curiosity, so we can all get to know you better, if you're not playing, with rations and doing goats, I guess that is some of your spare time. But what else are your interests?
Well,
When
besides my top interest, of course, is I got a 6-year-old daughter and my wife. We've been married for 3 years, And besides that, I'm a big fan of chess. I play a lot of competitive chess. So when I'm not churning my brain playing with rations, I seem to be churning my brain playing chess or kind of or just reading in general.
That's kind of fun. So you're trying to figure out your moves, and that's probably a good segue into working with farms, trying to figure out which move correlates to which action reaction thing. So that's kind of a neat deal. Um, so if we look forward to, we're doing this, you started on January 2nd. We're putting together some plans. What are some of the most exciting things for 2025?
For me, diving deeper into NDS and the program, I think will be a lot of fun. But then also with the small ruminant module, I think that's going to be um, it's kind of one of those things. I've always been interested in the animals and goats, especially the dairy goats. There's just not a lot of people who work with them for one, and I think the model has there's a lot of capabilities that we just don't know, don't understand, and just a lot about the goats. And I think for 2025, those are probably my two things I look forward to the most is meeting all these new people. I think NDS will open up a just a lot more for me, other than just kind of what I'm around specifically in Ohio, um, and just getting out there and kind of getting into it.
Well, what's exciting for us is that you bring a lot of different aspects to where we are right now. And I correct that you still have one class you're teaching this coming year, 2025. So they're keeping you around for teaching and training, and we're hoping that we get to use you out with our users and our new users to do some of the same. So um, we hope to get you more involved in our Facebook and our YouTube channel so people will have your contact. And again, thanks for enduring this question and answer thing. I just thought this might be kind of fun for people to get to know you. And again, welcome to the team. We're looking forward to it.
No, thank you, Dave.
All right. Hey, God bless, man.